Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing something again a little fun. I'm going to be doing a birthday book haul. I know I just did a book haul and I said in that video that I don't normally do book hauls because I don't normally buy books, and that is true. That is true. I very rarely buy books, and when I do, it's mostly books I've already read. Basically what I do is I get books from the library, and then if I like them, I buy them, and I like build up my collection that way. But the couple times that I do feel free to spend money on myself, on books, is on my birthday, especially because I get a lot of gift cards to bookstores. My family knows I really like to read, and they, you know, of course support that. So I get a lot of gift cards for my birthday and for Christmas, and my birthday is usually when I just go out and spend them, is when I kind of relax my book buying rules for myself. And yeah, I mean, I just did my library sale book haul a couple weeks ago, or not even a couple weeks ago. That was fully last month now. That was in February. The time has flown, but I did do a book haul in February, but those were all library book sale books, so they were all like extremely cheap, $1 or $2. And I hauled 7 books and I have read 5 of them. I'm okay with that. I feel like that shows that I am able to read what I am buying. Like, I don't just want to be buying books just for the sake of buying them and then letting them sit on my shelves and never reading them. I have so many friends whose physical TBRs, I think is what people call it, they just get out of control, and then it's like more books than you can ever read in your lifetime. So I try not to do that because that just stresses me out, and I don't have a lot of space in my apartment. So I typically only buy books I've already read and know I liked, but I did relax my rules a little bit this time. And so I bought books from 3 different places. I bought books from the local used bookstore near my house, and then I also bought books from Barnes & Noble, and then I also bought books from the local independent new bookstore near my house. So I'm gonna kind of be breaking this video up into 3 parts, into going over the books I got from each of those locations. So first, let's go through my books from the independent bookstore near me. So these are the books I got from the local independent bookstore. I'm trying not to dox myself here. So I did get myself a copy of The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. You might be able to see I have a lot of Ursula K. Le Guin books. She's one of my favorite authors, and you will see her again in this video, but she's one of my favorite authors. This is one of my favorite books by her, but I didn't have a copy. I have copies of The Left Hand of Darkness and a lot of her other famous work, but I've just never had a copy of this. I read it at the library, so I wanted a copy, and this was a used book, but it's in pretty good condition. It seems like almost brand new. I don't love this cover, but I don't love any of the covers for The Dispossessed. I feel like they all look kind of weird, so I'm okay with that. And it was a used book, so I got to use my used book credit. So cheap, cost effective, and I'm happy to have it. Then I also bought The Tomb of Dragons by Catherine Addison. This is a new release. It's the 3rd book in the Cemeteries of Amalur series, which is like a sub-series within the Goblin Emperor universe. I feel like I'm the only person in the world who like thought the Goblin Emperor was mid, but actually really likes this series. I thought the Goblin Emperor was fine. Like, it was a fun book for what it was. I think I got soured on it because I read it for class, and basically all of my classmates insisted it was a cozy fantasy. And I'm like, he nearly gets assassinated. The book begins with his whole family dying. How is that cozy? It put me off of it, but I actually did like the Goblin Emperor, but I like this series more, I think, just because it's shorter and it has a lot more going on. It's kind of a more plot-focused story, but I also really love the main character, and there is a lot of great character work. So I was really excited for this one because it came out on my birthday, and I literally went on my birthday to Barnes & Noble to see if they had it, and they did not. I was so surprised. And when I went up to the like person working to ask if they had it, another like worker was passing right behind her and said, "I can tell you before you even look it up, we don't have it because my order hasn't even come in yet." And then she told me I had good taste, so that was fun, but they didn't have it. So I was glad I was able to get it from the independent bookstore near me, because I would rather give my money to an independent bookstore than to Barnes & Noble anyways. So I'm glad they had it. I'm glad I get to read it. I do kind of want to reread the other Cemeteries of Amalur books first, because frankly I remember very little, and this is a world where I think you kind of need to have a grasp of what is going on, but I am excited to reread them. I think my library has them. So, and then I bought People Collide by Isle McElroy. I have never heard of this book. I've never heard of this author, and that is, again, very unusual. Normally when I buy books, even when they're not books I've already read, it's because I've heard of the author, I've heard of the book, and I want to read it. This one, it literally was just on the used bookshelf. I picked it up. It had a really interesting premise. It's like the premise of a husband and wife who are like gonna get divorced, but then they end up swapping bodies, and it's all about how they navigate how each other moves through the world, and it says it's supposed to be about gender, so I thought that was a really interesting premise. I want to see them get transgender with it, but really interesting premise. Again, it's very short, pretty cover. That'll get me. It was used. I could use my used book credits. We will see how this one is, but I think I like this. So. And next, let's do my little haul for the used bookstore books. These again were significantly cheaper, and I'm so mad about this because while I was there, I went there twice actually, and while I was there, I picked up some books. I was very happy with them, and then I picked up a book and I almost bought it. I almost bought this book. I was paging through it. It seemed interesting. I put it back because I guess I just decided I wasn't into it. I go home. I read on Reddit, of all places, that this book is gay. And it's a book that was published like before the 2000s. It's like a book from like the 1980s or whatever. I'm like, you can't just tell me that and not expect I'm gonna go back and get the book. So I went back to the used bookstore today to try to get that book. It was gone. I'm like, how? It's been a day. It's been a single day. You know how much of a coincidence that has to be? Like, what are the odds of that happening? That there are like 6,000 books in this bookstore and someone picked the one book I wanted to read, the one book I came back for, and I'm so mad. I'm so mad that I didn't just buy it then because I was interested in it, but I assumed because it was an older book and because it was about sword fighting that it would be straight and I wouldn't like it. But the books I did get are these. I got a copy of The Member of the Wedding by Carson McCullers. I actually already read this. I really enjoyed it. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, but I did really like this one, and I can start to see like common themes popping up in McCullers' work, which is always fun. This copy is banged to hell and back. I'm actually like kind of mad that I spent $2.97 on it because it is like worth $1 at most, and when I picked it up, a piece of paper fell out of it saying that it had been sold to somewhere on a different used bookstore for like $2.50. So they upcharged me for this book that is like falling apart. I'm frustrated with that, but I mean, I have an equally banged up copy of The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, so now they can just be banged up on the shelf together. I think that's kind of funny actually, so whatever. And then I got Stormfront by Jim Butcher, and this is actually like in really, really good condition, and it's like a nice recent mass market paperback. I have heard of the Dresden Files. I've never read it. I know there's a TV show of it now too. I'm not sure if I'm gonna like this one. When I brought it up to the cashier, she literally warned me. She warned me. These books are real misogynist. So when the cashier needs to warn you about the misogyny in a book, not a great sign, but she did say it was in like a way where it's like, he has like this female love interest that is portrayed pretty well and she's like a strong female character, but there's a bunch of like side characters who only exist to like throw themselves at the main character and be like sluts and whores or whatever. And like sometimes I can overlook that and sometimes I can't. If I was gonna read this, I think I would probably enjoy it, but that would probably be an issue for me, and it would come up. But it was a really good price and I am interested in reading this series. I don't think it's gonna be like a favorite, but I definitely want to read this and just see what all the fuss is about. So there we go. Then I got Filthy Animals by Brandon Taylor. I just picked this one up randomly. The cover looked cool. It was a hardback in nice condition, which is a rarity at used bookstores. So I don't know what my hair is doing right now. And then I picked it up and like flipped to a random page, and like the page I flipped to had such a funny phrase. But this book is about, it's a short story collection where all the short stories are kind of linked about sexually fraught encounters, I think. Psychologically taut and quietly devastating. A tender portrait of the fierce longing for intimacy, the lingering presence of pain, and the desire for love in a world that seems more often than not to withhold it, which sounded very interesting, so I do want to read this. And then I got a copy of The Magician King by Lev Grossman. This is really funny because it's like the second book in the series, and it is a little bit banged up, but I love this series, and I've been really, like, trying to buy copies. I've been saying I'm gonna buy copies for a while, and I've been going back and forth over whether I should get the new covers or the old covers. I like both of them, and when I saw this out in the wild, it just felt like a sign. And the way I noticed it was these distinctive edges. I know what these edges look like because I think it's such like a cute thing, like that the spines of the book are like clearly meant to evoke like an older like book in like a fancy collection. So that was just kind of a sign to me that I'll get these versions, and it'll be cheaper. I might buy them new. I might see if I can find them also used, but it's not so banged up that I feel like I wouldn't be able to ignore it. It's just like slightly worn at the edges, so I can live with that. Okay, and now for the new books I got from Barnes & Noble. So first of all, I got a copy of The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty. This is like a limited edition version of this book. Obviously it's got the girl from the movie on it, and I like how green it is. Brett Summer with her. But I have actually I've never seen the Exorcist movie. I've never seen it, but what I have seen is the 2016 Fox TV show The Exorcist, which was produced by Roland Jones, who you may know as the showrunner of Interview with the Vampire. You see how it all comes back to Interview with the Vampire? Yes, it does. But I love the Exorcist TV show, which is like low-key a spin-off of the show, of the movie. And I've always kind of been interested in reading the book ever since I learned there was a book. I've heard that there is like some interesting conversations about sexuality in the book, and I am interested to read it because I do like stories about like priests and exorcists. I think it's like a fun way of engaging with the insanity that is Catholicism. So I am excited to read this one, and I like this edition. So, and then this is on me, you guys. This is on me. I got another copy of He Who Drowned the World, not realizing that I already had a copy in my apartment. I was at my parents' house for my birthday and went to the Barnes & Noble by their house, and I guess I just forgot that I had a copy, because I think I bought a copy of He Who Drowned the World and then I put it on the bottom shelf of my shelf because they're alphabetized, so it went where Parker Chan goes. It's down there, so you can see it down there. And then I was not emotionally ready to read it. I knew it was going to emotionally destroy me, and so I didn't start it, and I think I just forgot about it. And guys, I have a real dilemma. When I went back to the used bookstore today, I almost brought a copy of He Who Drowned the World so I could, you know, make some of that money back, but I'm really conflicted because they are two slightly different versions. They don't look that different. This one is a little bit more orange than this one. The yellow on this is a bit more orange. This is the international edition, and this is the US edition. And the international edition has like this, like, oh god, I don't even know how to describe it, but you know international editions have a different texture on the cover. This is just like almost a paper texture, you can hear it. Whereas this is almost like a gel coating on the outside of this book. It's a lot smoother, and quite honestly, I like that more. I like the feeling of this more. I think it will hold up a lot better because like you can already see this was literally just in like a bag carrying it home, and it's already like starting to wear at the edges. And the other, my edition of, if I can grab it, my edition of She Who Became the Sun is also the like Barnes & Noble paper regular edition, US edition, and it's also, you know, I only read it once and it's already not in great condition. And I'm not very violent with my books, you know. I don't think it's wrong if you are, because they're your books, you paid for them, but I like to keep them in relatively nice condition, and it's just impossible with a lot of books these days to keep them in relatively nice condition because they're just made so poorly. And I like that this one is probably going to hold up a lot better, but it is slightly taller. It is slightly taller. Is it slightly taller? Yeah, it's taller by like half a fucking centimeter, so maybe I can ignore that, but it's slightly taller, it's slightly more orange, and it doesn't quite match the other one, but because these are both the Barnes & Noble editions with the same texture cover. Is that gonna bug me though? Is that gonna bug me if my books aren't the same texture, if one of them is slightly more orange, if one of them says International Edition on the spine? Is that gonna bug me? I unfortunately think it might. I don't want for it to bug me because I want to get the practical one that I think will hold up better, but I also, unfortunately, am not the most practical, and I would like my two copies to match, because that's the whole reason why I waited to buy a paperback of this instead of buying a hardback, which the indie bookstore near me has had a hardback of this for so long, and I just never picked it up because I know I wanted a paperback to match my other paperback. So nobody cares about all this, but basically I'm conflicted. I don't know which one to keep. I can't keep both of them. I just refuse to do that, but I'll have to think about it. I've kind of convinced myself into keeping the International Edition just by talking through it. Like, they're so similar, but I would know they weren't the same. We'll think about it. Next I have a book of essays by Ursula K. Le Guin. This was obviously published after her death. I think it was published in like 2023 or something. I have read a lot of her essays. I'll be interested to see if it's essays I haven't read from her before in here, if it's just a bunch of like her most famous, her most popular that I've already read. But I don't know, she's one of my favorite authors. Again, I just wanted to have something of her, and I wanted to have an essay collection of hers on my shelf because I really do think she was such a smart woman, like not just in terms of her books but also in terms of her criticism of literature and the like society she lived in. And she was so eloquent and so well spoken and so well read, and was able to put her points in such a way that you can just immediately understand what she's saying and how she's getting to it. And then I also really love that she changed her positions and changed her mind over the course of her life. She wasn't stuck in the same opinion she had in the 1960s as she was, you know, at the end of her life. Like, she really was a person who was not afraid to admit she was wrong and grow and change. And I really admire that, not only in an author, but in a person in general. So I love this woman, and I can't wait to read this essay collection. And so the last 3 books are all kind of together. I'll show them together. I got the Fitz and the Fool trilogy by Robin Hobb. I am slowly building up my Realm of the Elderlings collection. There are 16 books in this series. I have 10. I have all of Farseer, I have all of Tawny Man, I have Ship of Magic, only Ship of Magic, and now all 3 of the Fitz and the Fool books. I probably am going to try to get the other live ship books. I don't know if I'm gonna get the Rain Wild Chronicles, to be quite honest with you guys, because it's not even bad. I don't even think that series is that bad. I know everybody shits on it. I don't even think Rain Wild Chronicles is that bad. I read it and I enjoyed it, but it's not one that I would think I would want to reread. And in fact, I'm not rereading it. I'm doing a reread of Realm of the Elderlings right now, and what I've been doing basically is buying each series as I get to those books. I don't want physical copies of them even if I do end up rereading them. Sorry Elise, sorry Lefterin, sorry Selden, sorry Carson. I just don't like you guys enough, and I think it's because we only get to see them for one series. Like, even the live ship characters come back in Fitz and the Fool, whereas I feel like the Rain Wild Chronicles characters are so much less prevalent in the rest of the series, just because they can't be. Like, there's only one more series after that. But yeah, so I don't know, maybe I will read them, but if I do, I don't want physical copies. Now the real struggle is where the hell I'm gonna fit these on my bookshelf, because we're already pretty squeezed in. I already bought a new bookshelf and just filled it up. I basically had to get rid of one of my small bookshelves. It wasn't even a bookshelf, it was like a hutch that went over my desk, because I got a new computer and my monitor was too big to fit under the hutch, so I had to get rid of the hutch, so we lost some space. But I don't know, because I feel like I've already weeded my collection to a point where I can't easily just look through my shelves and be like, oh, that's a book I'm holding on to, maybe because I just didn't want to get rid of it yet, but I know I don't really want it. I've already like weeded out all of that stuff, and I've already rearranged my bookshelf several times, and I don't know where we're gonna go from here, but we'll figure something out. So maybe that'll be a fun video, like a bookshelf reorganization video, or a come help me fit these books on my shelves with me. So that will be fun. So yeah, that's my final 3 books. I also just think these books look so pretty. I really do like these new editions, even though they're kind of plain, but I feel like they're plain in a way that is pretty. And again, books are constructed so badly these days. I think the way that the cashier put them in the bag like ended up ripping this one. I think you can see it, it's on this side. But this is so small that I either won't notice it, and if I do, I work at a library, I can just glue it back together. I know how to do that, it's okay. So that was my little book haul. Thank you so much for watching. This is my birthday book haul. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to know if you've read any of these books, if you have any thing to say, what should I read first, or if you're like, you wasted your money on that book. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.